So let me read a couple Psalms to you. And I'm going to tell you where these are, although as soon as I start reading them, you'll know. Okay. This is David. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? See, what's the problem? Presence. You're hiding your face. Hell is the hidden face of God. How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and every day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. My enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your hesed. I trust in your unfailing love. NIV has it here. And my heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, for He has been good to me. Now, is the same person who wrote those first 4 verses, is it the same guy that wrote the last 2? How long? Will you forget me? Will you hide your face? How long? Look on me. Show up. Answer. And then this transition happens. And his conclusion is, the Lord's been good to me. I'm going to sing to Him. What has happened? I can't tell you what's happened. God has shown up. David has exhausted himself against God. I don't know. But something happens. A journey has taken place in his life, in his faith, from confusion to clarity, from isolation to the presence of God. And this happens in almost every one of the laments. Let me read you a couple more. You'll know this one too. This is one of David's disease laments. David had a life-threatening disease. We don't know what it was, but there are a few of his psalms that describe this disease. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, and I'm not silent. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the praise of Israel. In you, our fathers put their trust. See, he remembers. Yeah, our fathers trusted you. They trusted and you delivered them. They cried to you and were saved. In you they trusted and were not disappointed. But I'm a worm and not a man, scorned by men and despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults at me, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let Him deliver him, since He delights in him. Yet, here's a more remembrance. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you even at my mother's breast. And this is an interesting idea for me because Job does this. The lamenters often go back to the time they were born. Job, in his first lament, actually laments the day he was born. It's almost a suicidal lament. But it's interesting to me that our very first experience, I hope this isn't too weird and psychological. I'm not much of a psychologist. But what is your very first experience when you're born? Okay, after you're delivered and cleaned up, you're handed to your mom. And you have an experience of this. The very first experience you have is when the person from whom I have a right to expect nothing gives me everything. You are embraced by arms that aren't going to let you go. I know it's fragmented and fallen. It's a worldly love, but still, David and Job both go back to the moment they were born, and they remember, oh yeah, I remember when I was born that this was there. Okay, what's the very first lesson you learn? What's the very first lesson you learn? The very first lesson you learn is that if I cry long enough, somebody will show up. Right? Before you have language, before you have anything else, the first sound you hear is weeping. Right? The first sound you make is weeping. The first lesson you learn is if I cry long enough, somebody will show up. Your first experience is of this. And so I think, and again, not to be too psychological, but these things shape the rest of our lives. I was created for this. This is what I was created for. And I have tasted this. And not getting it, or getting it in such a fragmented and fallen way during the central part of this journey is the main thing that I lament. God has revealed himself to me as this. And so when good people suffer and bad people prosper, when my sister lost 2 babies in 13 months, one was born first with multiple birth defects, every birth defect a baby can have, this baby had. 13 months later, she delivered a perfect baby who lived 2 months and died of a ruptured appendix. And I shook my fist at God and said, I don't get this. I don't get this. My brother lost his 18-year-old son to cancer, 4 years of agony for this sweet, sweet boy. And my life seemed inconsistent with the way God had revealed himself. And that's what the laments are for. How do you hold on? How does David hold on when there's that inconsistency between the way God has revealed himself and the way his life is at the particular moment when he's in this journey, when he's moving towards intimacy with God? How does David hold on? How does Jeremiah hold on? How does Job hold on? How does Jesus hold on? See, that's the question. Okay, where was I? Sorry. I didn't get to my... Yet you brought me from birth I was cast upon you. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near and there is no one to help. Many bulls surround me, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Roaring lions, tearing their prey, open their mouths wide against me. I'm poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart is turned to wax. It's melted away within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. My friend Denny, who's struggling right now with cancer, I was with him before I left, and he's a strong, robust guy. He was a Black Panther in Chicago in the 60s, and then was in Special Forces in Vietnam. So he's this, he can really scare you. I mean, he's got this look that can really, I mean, he can scare me, and he's my best friend. But he was laying, this verse makes me think, he's laying in bed sort of on his side because that's the only place he can be comfortable. And I'm crying, and I told him, boy, if there's any way I could take this from you, I would gladly take this from you. And he looked at me and he said, you couldn't handle this. And he's right, I couldn't handle it. But when I read this is what he's experiencing right now. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs have surrounded me. A band of evil men has encircled me. They have pierced my hands and my feet. There it is. There's a more accurate description of the crucifixion of Jesus in the Old Testament than in the New Testament. The New Testament never says his hands and feet were pierced. That's Psalm 22. See? In the New Testament, after the resurrection, he's showing them his hands and his feet. But when he's crucified, it never says they nailed him to the cross. That's not in there. See? That's in the Old Testament. Pretty cool. I count all my bones. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them and cast lot for my clothing. But you, O Lord, be not far off. Presence. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouths of lions. I will declare your name to my brothers. In the congregation I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. Revere him, all you descendants of Israel, for he has not despised or disdained the suffering of the afflicted one. Is that the same guy? I mean, 20 verses ago he was saying, why have you forsaken me? Why aren't you listening to me? What's happened? See, he's made this journey. And for however you can explain it, it's inexplicable. God has shown up. There's a renewed sort of awareness of God's presence. And he says, he has not hidden his face from me.